What's going on, wrestling family? Welcome back to the channel. So we're going to react to 8 WWE finishers that were created by accident. And this right here is really interesting because when I think about things being created by accident, I instantly go to food, like flavors for candy or even like hot Cheetos. Hot Cheetos were created by accident. But I really don't think about wrestling finishers being created that way, except for one, and they'll probably name it in this video. Because when it comes to finishers, you would think that they got to plan out, what position am I going to do to, do this finisher? What position does the person taking it have to be in for this finisher? How they're going to sell it? So many things that have to be planned because you got to think about people's safety and all kind of things. So thinking about the idea that some of this stuff is by accident is kind of strange, but it's kind of cool at the same time. So we're going to find out what all 8 are. And before we get started, guys, do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let's get into it.
This fist broke Little Miss Becky Lynch's face.
A wrestling move being created out of a botch is kind of rare, as usually if a botched version of a move leads to a somewhat riskier move being creative, then it's unusual for the move to be repeated, never mind become famous around the world. But in these instances, wrestlers actually stuck with that move, and some even made it their actual finisher. Join us now as WrestleMania looks at botches that led to a new wrestling finisher being created. Number 1, South of Heaven. A Damian Priest South of Heaven finishing move is currently one of the most...
I can see that because you know what? It looked like if you was wrestling in the kitchen and the floor just got mopped and you try to choke slam somebody and you slip. That's what the South of Heaven looks like. So I could believe that, to be honest with you. That and the Claymore. They both look like somebody slipped.
In WWE right now. The move even won Priest the world title at WrestleMania 40, and the move stands out thanks to being a variation on the popular chokeslam that has dominated the wrestling scene for decades. Now, believe it or not, the finishing move surfaced thanks to a notable botch, as Priest managed to fall whilst delivering a standard chokeslam. Speaking of Fightful, the former world champion discussed the unique origin of his finishing move, saying, "For the South of Heaven chokeslam, I was training at the old Monster Factory, and at the time the trainer on Sundays was Jim Molyneux, who was a referee for ECW. It was before I had my first match, and he was telling me, we're gonna come up with a finisher for you. Try a chokeslam. The reason why I got into pro wrestling was because of The Undertaker. I was a big fan of just everything about him. When he said try a chokeslam, I got excited, and for the first time I tried it, it didn't come out smooth. Then I tried it again and I fell. When I fell sitting down. Maybe because it was a big guy I was trying it on." A Priest went on to say that the next time he did the move, he purposely fell, and the South of Heaven was born as his primary finishing move. Number 2, Tiger Driver.
Yo, I never knew that. That's pretty interesting. That's really interesting. You know who got a crazy chokeslam right now though, off topic? And I know people feel the way they feel about him. AJ Francis. The way he slammed it into the mat, he is trying to send mugs to the core of the earth, bro. Just look it up. Just look it up. It's crazy.
He won. The Tiger Driver is a move that is commonly used outside of WWE.
Yeah,
the
for good
origins
reason.
of this move are interesting because the move was created completely by accident. Mitsuhara Misawa was the man often cited as being responsible for the move, and the story goes that Misawa attempted a powerbomb and he encountered an unexpected hiccup. His timing was slightly off and his opponent's body didn't land in the traditional way. The move Misawa had accidentally created was the Tiger Driver,
So
and it would
dangerous,
soon obtain a reputation for being one of the most deadly and legitimate moves out there.
Yeah.
Number 3, Powerbomb. Speaking of the Powerbomb is another move that became a new move virtually out of nowhere. The origin of the move goes back to the 1950s, and when NWA champion Lou Thesz and fellow legend Antonio Rocco were wrestling, a piledriver spot was about to go down, and the two men inadvertently created a powerbomb. When the two realized that the move was unique and received a thunderous reaction from the crowd, the move managed to be a regular feature in the matches as the years went on. By the time wrestling arrived in the 1990s, numerous wrestlers in major companies had adopted the powerbomb as their primary finishing move. Whilst the first powerbomb was rather dangerous to look at, especially when you consider that the move was supposed to be a pile driver, the move would evolve as the years went on, and there have been endless variations seen over the past 2 decades. Number 4.
That's so crazy, man. And it's so cool at the same time to think that you got so many variations of an accident throughout the history of wrestling. Tons of them are the finisher of a lot of people. Ton of them are, synonymous with some wrestlers like the Batista Bomb or the Last Ride or so many different power. That's crazy, man. And can you imagine being somebody who in the creative process or somewhere in PC or some independent, wrestling facility, just being frustrated because you're not that you're hating on the people who come up with this by accident, but you're spending all this time overthinking, trying to figure out a way to create a brand new finisher that no one else has, and people have created some by accident. It's so crazy.
Shot. A Trick Williams trick shot finishing move didn't surface via a botch. However, the move was never planned and it was never improvised in the middle of a featured match. When Williams was wrestling Ilya Dragunov, Williams decided to hit a running knee out of nowhere, and this is where the trick shot finishing move would be born. The former NXT champion discussed this during an interview with Fox Sports Happy Hour. I would say it was actually accidental. It was Ilya Dragunov, Trick Williams too. It was just a fight. It was a fight. He's hitting me in the face, he's hitting me in the mouth, he's trying to inflict so much pain. At this point, I'm like, I'm gonna hurt you. Whatever happens, happens. The first thing that came to my mind is, I'm gonna put my knee right in the middle of his forehead. Williams went on to say that the crowd going crazy was a key factor in the move becoming his new finisher.
Yeah, he landed
went
that.
for it full speed. He hit a backflip, his face was bleeding, and the crowd was going crazy. I was like, this right here should be my new finish. I was doing the spinning trick kick before, but in that moment with Ilya Dragunov, when it came down to it and I wanted to hurt you and inflict as much pain as possible, putting my right knee in the middle of your forehead seems like a pretty good idea. Williams was definitely right in using the knee as his new finishing move, as the best moves in modern wrestling are those that can be just hit out of nowhere, and this was most definitely the case with this particular finishing move. Number 5, the diving headbutt. A wrestler regretting their own finishing move is uncommon in the wrestling industry, as traditionally the wrestler will take great pride in their move. However, when the move has a somewhat negative reputation, it's sometimes best that wrestler distances themselves from the move entirely. When it comes to Harley Race, in his later years, he spoke out about how much he regretted the diving headbutt move, and it's easy to see why. The diving headbutt is a controversial move mainly because it's seen by many as dangerous, and numerous wrestlers who use the move as a finisher have gone on to have lifelong issues with their necks. According to Race, the move itself was created accidentally, and it's easy to see when this watching early versions of the move, as it often looks sloppy and awkward upon execution. It's likely that Race went for some kind of splash, but managed to botch the move and managed to do damage with his head.
Hey man, I do this. I do the standing headbutt every time I stand up too fast, bro. I get dizzy, and that's exactly what I do, bro. It's getting older is not fun.
Due to the move looking unique compared to every other high-risk move, it naturally just stuck as his finishing move. Number 6, the End of Days. And the End of Days managed to become one of the most protected finishers of the past decade, and this was without a doubt the correct approach to take in terms of the presentation and booking of the move, as the End of Days looked incredible whenever Baron Corbin would deliver it, and the move stood out for all the right reasons. Now, an interesting story about the move is that the move surfaced when Corbin was just playing around at the WWE Performance Center. Corbin shared this fascinating story during an interview with Chris Van Vliet, saying, "Same with Deep 6-2, we were playing around at the performance center, we had a crash pad ring, we can go in there and try things, and a kid named Sami Callihan, I was playing."
Nah, that can't be the Sami Callihan I'm thinking of. It gotta be a real kid. It gotta be, right?
Playing around with him in the ring, and he does this thing where he springs off the bottom rope and catches you for a DDT, and I was just messing with him, and he jumped and I caught him, and I did the End of Days on him, and we both sat up and looked at each other like, wait a second, what was that? Corbin went on to say that he would proceed to redo the move, and then he would send the footage to WWE official Billy Gunn for approval, and the rest they say is history. Yeah, like, that's something cool, and then I just did it, and I was like, dude, and I filmed it, and at the time I sent it to Billy Gunn. I was like, yo, I think this is my finish, because I was really trying to find a finish at the time. He's like, that's awesome, I'm gonna use it tonight against the Shield. And I said, don't you dare, I will fight you when you come back. And he didn't, he was just messing with me. But so it was a complete accident, and it's just been something that really kind of put me on the map. It's a cool, unique first time ever seeing this finish, and then I protected it with every bit of my might. WWE rarely commits to protecting a new finisher to the level they did with the End of Days, and it was definitely a factor in the move getting over to the level it did. Number 7,
and that's
DDT.
crazy how like the Deep 6 was also created by accident. I mean, I think personally for me, that's one of my favorite finishers probably in the past decade or so. As far as just like how clean it looks, how fast it is, how like crazy it looks at the same time, especially when Baron Corbin performs it on a smaller person like Rey Mysterio. That move is completely underrated in my personal opinion, especially at a time where I don't have a problem with it. A lot of people are reusing finishers from wrestlers in the past, which I think is cool. Whenever they do that to, pay homage to a previous wrestler and give them respect, and I think that's great. But sometimes we need more finishers, and sometimes we have wrestlers in the same promotion at the same time pretty much have the same type of finisher. I mean, the Skull Crushing finale and LA Knight's finisher is pretty much the exact same thing. We got the Crossroads, and then we got we got Damian Priest. Pretty like, even though they're not finishers to everybody, but it pretty much is the same exact move. So what I'm saying is that it's always cool to see when someone creates something new and bring it out. And I think Baron Corbin's Deep Six and even his End of Days is one of those few moves who that is very creative, right? They are you can say that they're variations of certain moves that's already out there, but overall they are their own thing, and I think that's really dope. And I feel like Baron Corbin, outside of having finishers like that, having a run of theme songs that were as great as his, I feel like he's underrated in both of those departments, in my personal opinion. But maybe I'm wrong.
Now, it's difficult to find a modern wrestling match without some form of a DDT featured within it, and the unbelievable thing about the move is that the legendary Jake the Snake Roberts created the move thanks to a notable botch in a match. According to the WWE Hall of Famer, he had a front face lock on a wrestler and then he awkwardly tripped over, and this ultimately led to the creation of the iconic move. Roberts expanded on the origin of the move.
So what they're saying is, don't do this at home, y'all, because whatever happens to you guys is between you, your medical profession, and whatever religion you believe in. Do not do this at home. So what I'm hearing is that you have to grab somebody and slip on something, and you get a finisher. I mean, you just saw what happened with Damian Priest. You see what's happening here with Jake the Snake. Like, that's how you accidentally create a finisher, bro. Again, don't do it. Okay, think about your safety, please. Do not do that.
During an interview with Niagara Frontier Publications, yeah, it was an accident. I was in the ring wrestling. I had a front face lock on a guy. He stepped on my feet and we fell backwards. He went on his head, I went on my back, and the fans went, oh. I went, wait a minute, I've got something here. And then I started working on it and come with it and named it after the poison that everybody outlawed. The DDT would go on to become one of the most famous moves of all time, and it's insane to know that if Roberts didn't stumble backwards and bodge during the match, then the DDT may have never seen the light of day. And number 8, the Claymore. Whilst the Future Shock DDT was a great move,
there's no way this one did not make the list, bro. Out of all the moves that look like somebody slipped on something, this is literally that one. But again, it has that factor, that out of nowhere factor that makes moves like the RKO and the Stone Cold Stunner so entertaining to see every single time, right? But I mean, at least for this, we kind of know when it's coming more so than Randy Orton's RKO, but it still has a little bit of that surprise factor that really does make it entertaining to see Drew McIntyre in the ring, amongst other things.
McIntyre, the Claymore just had that extra element of legitimacy and ferocity as a finishing move, and the fact that McIntyre could hit the move out of nowhere was a key factor in the move getting over. According to McIntyre, he did the move initially during his 3MB days, and the move surfaced due to a botch with his wardrobe. The former WWE champion revealed during an interview with KWCH that due to his in-ring gear being so tight, he was forced to kick up his other leg when executing a kick, and whilst the move looked fantastic, he ended up legitimately knocking himself out.
Hey man, hey, everybody that's been clowning the kids for wearing them skinny jeans and belts where they can't run from the police. Hey, having skinny jeans made one of the most entertaining finishers right now in WWE. That is crazy. I never thought I would admit to that, but that's crazy, bro. That's crazy.
I was in a match when I was younger and I was wearing tight leather pants. I ran to kick a guy in the face and the pants were so tight I had to kick up my other leg. I accidentally spun and landed on my head. I kicked him in the face and then I knocked myself out. When I saw the footage back, I thought, wow, that is great. If I could figure out how to do that move without knocking myself out and maybe not wearing those tight leather pants, I'm jamming. The Claymore became McIntyre's primary finisher in 2017, and the move has managed to defeat names such as Brock Lesnar, Randy Orton, and even Cody Rhodes. But there you have it, folks. Botches that led to a new wrestling finisher being
tight pants is what did that, huh? I'm gonna create a finisher, man. I'm gonna go put on some random clothes and go out and slip on something in safety, right? And come up with a finisher, copyright that mug and see if I can sell this to WWE. I'm gonna try to do that. But anyway, which one of these finishers were your favorite? Which ones were you more surprised that they were created by accident? Let me know in the comment section, guys. Thank you guys so much for your support. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Salute, peace, have a great day.